I've always had pretty severe anxiety. When I was really, really young, it used to be more about really irrational things. I was on and off of like different medications, and I was in like therapy, and I often like left school early because I was having panic attacks and stuff like that. So then when I went to college, I think my way of kind of maintaining control over my life when I felt like everything was changing was, I'm not going to gain weight, I'm going to stay, because I had always identified as like a ballet dancer. I'd always been like a small person. I had been an athlete and a runner in the past, but I think I had never really done that every day obsessively or anything. So when I got to college, my way of maintaining control was I started running every day, and then just like not eating enough. I think the thing that a lot of people don't realize about like eating disorders and things like that is that people know what's going on. Like what's going on the whole time. You're harming yourself. Like you don't necessarily. Even body dysmorphia is more complex. Like there were times when I would look in the mirror and I knew that I looked too thin. I didn't actually see myself as fat, but sometimes it still felt that way. It's more about like how I felt in my own body. It's like I couldn't exist in my own body. I went on like that for a while. There was one point over my winter break of freshman year that I had another sort of like panic attack. It's like there's half of you that's really, really, really afraid to change your ways because keeping things so consistent, like everything is in control. So I got a panic attack because I was like, oh my god, I'm like dying, I'm like killing myself, I'm really thin. Nothing really changed until my second semester sophomore year. I, over winter break, had pretty severely pulled my hamstring. And I was so dependent on running at the time that I'd thought about injury before, and I had no idea what I would do if I ever had to stop running. Like it was always a thought in my mind because I was so dependent on it at that point. It was like I couldn't exist in my own body. I could barely walk and I couldn't run, and I started I obsessively did cardio on the elliptical every day as much as I could. And I remember it consumed me that whole day before classes started. Like what if, like hoping that the elliptical wouldn't hurt it. I was like, oh, I can use the elliptical. It was like my fallback. I only lasted about a week or two, in there before I got kind of tracked down by the wellness center. I think I might have gone to like check out my hamstring or something. Really, really quickly kind of translated into, you need to go to a doctor, you need to stop exercising right away, we've diagnosed you with an eating disorder. I remember I got my hormone levels checked, and they were undetectable, which is like really scary. I was like a shell of a human, and I was not female practically. When you're going and going and going like that, your body gets used to it. My body got used to running on very little food and very high levels of exercise. So when you finally stop for a day, which I never did, or two, and eat a lot, you realize how tired you are. And I remember crying and crying and crying, and like at the same time being so relieved that I could stop torturing myself. Because I remember lying on the couch in my living room and being so upset and just like eating this like coffee cake that my mom made and like crying because it tasted so good. And like, there were times when I started gaining weight that it was really, really fucking hard. It felt like I wasn't myself anymore, when really I think I was coming back to her. Somehow I went back to school and I got through the semester, but it was full of a lot of days that I was happy to go home at night to my dorm so I could fall asleep and like not be existing for a while, not be thinking about it. Eating disorders are so much more than, the media has like such a pressure on being thin, and if that were the case, everyone would have an eating disorder. I don't think that to have an eating disorder makes you weaker. I think it makes you stronger. So to get through it makes you stronger. I don't think of myself as an emotionally weak person. I don't think of myself as someone who is self-conscious enough to be affected purely by wanting to look like someone in a magazine. And how would that make sense? Because when you're getting yourself down to such a low body weight, you look nothing like someone in a magazine. You look like you're dying. So it's just a really hard thing because there's so much more than that. It's like there's always an underlying emotional problem. And for some people, exercise and food is just a way of, for me, ignoring it. When I was running, I didn't have to think about my own emotions. And I'm still kind of figuring out where it came from. It takes a really long time. Probably this semester is like the happiest I've been in a really long time. And that's amazing. So